Dracule Mihawk, Mr. Suffering from Success. Yeah, it goes really deep with Dracule Mihawk. People have made videos about this stuff. When you really dissect the character, you come to understand just everything he's going through and just how his life's journey has put him in a position to somewhat be alone. And it goes back to the old saying, it's lonely at the top. And Mihawk, for the most part, based on the story, based on order, based on everything we've been told, stands at the pinnacle of the One Piece world in regards to swordsmanship. Now, this video is not about getting into the semantics of what it means to be a swordsman and if Mihawk fights Big Mom and all that different stuff. This is strictly just explaining why Mihawk can't and will not lose until, well, we know until what, right? But if you want to get to that, the first thing I would need you to do is subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Drop a like as well if you actually do like Mihawk. And without further ado, let's talk about this stuff. Also, guys, I'm here to let you know this video is sponsored by this plate. What is this plate? Well, this plate is basically a metal poster, right? But this metal poster, it's a unique canvas that you can get that basically represents who you are. I think the great thing about this plate, because I've been using this plate for a while, you guys see it back there, that is a disc plate. It's easy, the mounting is really simple. It's pretty much a magnet at the back. You stick it, put the magnet on it, and it's good to go. Then boom, you got a disc plate. I think I really like this plate as well because of what happens every time you purchase one. Like literally every time you purchase one, they plant a tree. And so far they've planted like 14 million trees in Africa. So guys, when you support this plate, you support a greater cause as well. I'm gonna show you guys some of my disc plates. My Ace disc plate just came in today. Die with memories, not dreams, right? So fire. This is amazing quality, guys. I promise you. It is metal. You don't have to worry about it bending or anything like that. It feels amazing, but we had to get the straw hats, bro. The great part about it, this plate has partners. Star Wars, DC, Marvel, so you know that they're legit, okay? Be sure to check out my profile of top picks on Displate's website. Over 1.4 million artist prints to choose from, up to 37% off when using my link. Look at it, it's so pretty, it's so pretty. Get your own display, okay?
Later.
I think it's really important to understand just narratively what Mihawk means to the story, because I think sometimes he gets overlooked because again, in regards to total panel time, he's not one of the characters that gets quite a lot, right? Even for flashbacks, we have Luffy and Israeli flashbacks. Those are somewhat of a joke, right? For Zoro, he doesn't have many Mihawk flashbacks. I can remember one or two, but he doesn't have many of them. So Mihawk as a character doesn't get that much screen time. So what does Mihawk mean to the narrative? What does he mean to the story? Well, of course, it all traces back to Zoro, but Mihawk and his life's work, it's all come by the way of the blade. We need some more backstory to understand this character a bit better, but I think we've gotten enough to somewhat know what this character is about and what the future holds for him. Mihawk craves power. Mihawk craves competition. Mihawk wants to be challenged. Now, it takes a certain type of individual to welcome these things and in some ways prepare these things for yourself. Mihawk did that with Zoro. Mihawk challenged Zoro the first time they met. He said to Zoro, "My name is Dracule Mihawk. It's too soon for you to die. Discover yourself, see the world, and grow strong. Zoro, however long it may take, I shall await you at the top. Strive with your whole heart to best this blade. Strive to surpass me, Roronoa Zoro." Now, these words, they cut very deep because you understand for a man like Mihawk, to get to this point, to see the potential in Zoro and someone that could possibly surpass him, just think of the numerous people that he's cut down by the way of Yoru, and he's come out on top. The main rival we know about is Shanks, but I think through Shanks he learned more about himself. He learned more about his ambitions, how he probably takes things a bit more seriously than others, but I'm sure Shanks was an anomaly for him. This is just speculation, right? But I'm assuming Mihawk takes the way of the blade very seriously. Not assuming, I know he does. You can tell. And for Shanks, that's probably something that he doesn't do. So I think outside of Shanks as a combatant, Mihawk probably wondered about Shanks where someone like this, who didn't approach the world the same way that I do, is that strong and powerful and can compete with me in the way of the blade. Now, ultimately, I think Mihawk is the better swordsman, no doubt. But if Mihawk had the opportunity, the same way Shanks did, and Mihawk had to bet his arm for Zoro, would he give up the thing that he strived all his life to attain? Of course, he can be a swordsman with one arm, but Mihawk doesn't fight Shanks for a reason. He feels like Shanks is limited as a swordsman now. Would he do that for Zoro? Even when Zoro came to him, one of the few times we saw Mihawk laugh is just in the face of irony, where the person that he said to come challenge him, to strive to beat him, strive to surpass him, came to him to beg to be trained, and not for himself, but for someone else, which does take him back to what Shanks did for Luffy. His arm was not about himself, it was for someone else. If Mihawk never met Shanks, would he have made that decision to train Zoro? It makes you think, because for Mihawk he does give off some edge, but I think it's a character I can relate to, because I'd rather much be alone. I enjoy attaining personal goals, but I can't relate to being the world's strongest swordsman, or the world's strongest anything. anything. That must be a very lonely path and road. But why can't Mihawk lose? Well, narratively, it doesn't make sense. Mihawk issues this challenge to Zoro. Mihawk then somewhat reinforces this challenge by training Zoro himself. And Mihawk as a character is not only tied to Zoro's ambition, but Zoro's promise to Kuina. Yes, where the goal is to become the strongest. With Kuina's blade, of course, Zoro has acquired other blades, but his goal and his ambition is to become the strongest. He told Luffy, if you ever get in the way of that, I will leave, or I will kill you. And of course, we know at this point, Zoro will do anything for Luffy, even give up his life, turn his back on his pride for his captain. There's no one more loyal than Zoro. But a lot of these things are tied to Mihawk. The thing is though, Mihawk is a figurehead. What he represents can be replaced. But in regards to meaning and symbolism, it would not make sense to replace that. There are few things in One Piece more important or has more narrative significance than Zoro meeting Mihawk again, because things come full circle. We get Zoro accomplishing his dream, and in a way, Mihawk accomplishing his as well. I mean, it's really difficult to discern exactly what Mihawk would want at this point, and I would assume it has everything to do with Zoro. I would assume it has everything to do with the Way of the Blade. That's his life's work. I don't think achieving a black blade is a small feat. Some people write it off as a small thing, but I think this is a lifelong journey. This is probably a commitment that few people could actually attain. And for Mihawk, he's been at it for decades. It was stated in the Ace novel that Shanks became famous because of Mihawk. Mihawk was already famous during the era of Gold Roger. So if you think about that, Mihawk has been at this for decades. We're not exactly sure when he became the world's greatest swordsman, or the world's best, the world's most skilled. I just want to clarify those because I don't think there's any nuance there. He is strictly the best, but he has been at the top, at the pinnacle for a long time. That's why Mihawk, when the Marines pulled up, he was excited. He said it's been a while since he's been hunted. He's always been the hunter. The first time we saw Mihawk, he was chasing Don Krieg. Can you imagine how bored one has to be to chase Don Krieg? I mean, Don Krieg, he had a lot of fleets or whatever, but Mihawk knew he was in another tier, on another level. Still, he did it. Because what else better is there to do? Who can I challenge to fill this void, this hole that I have? It's not as overt, right? But Mihawk on Kuraigan Island, even him entertaining Perona to the point that you feel like he enjoys Perona's company. Because again, suffering from success and being alone at the top is a very lonely life. But in the midst of this loneliness, he still finds a way to have care and compassion for others like Perona and Zoro. And so to see those two things culminate, Zoro's dream and Mihawk's dream, finding someone that can finally give him a challenge, and for Zoro, finally attaining the title of the world's strongest, because Zoro, when he fights Mihawk again, will not lose. There's no chance that he loses. And for Mihawk, he'll finally get the challenge that he wants. Finally, he can have someone that can relieve him of this pressure, this prison. Yes, it's a great thing to get to the top, but where do you go from there? What else do you do? Imagine striving for this thing your entire life. You achieve it. Now, there's no one else to fight. There's nothing left to do. I have to achieve new purpose. But what does that look like? Who do I find that in? I had that in Shanks, but now he's lost his arm. The person who I felt like could at some point probably beat me, or at least give me a challenge, is no more. Who else is left? I wonder if Mihawk was like Gold Roger, where he read things about Ryuma's like, Ryuma, I wish I was around in your time. I wish you were alive so I could challenge you. I wonder if Mihawk saw Odin in the newspaper and said, I wish I could challenge that man. If we ever cross paths, that'd be the greatest day of my life. I wonder if Mihawk saw Rayleigh and thought of challenging him. Of course, these questions I hope get answered at some point, because Mihawk as a character is a lot more relatable than one could think, but for certain people. Some people aren't like that. Some people like Luffy, where they enjoy being around people, enjoy being jovial, and some people are like Mihawk, where you like being alone, but not necessarily feeling alone. But guys, give me your thoughts. I'm not gonna say I won't entertain any ideas about Shiryu and Mihawk possibly losing and Oda just completely turning that idea on its head, where Mihawk loses his title before Zoro comes and gets it. But I think narratively makes more sense for Zoro to take it from Mihawk. Shiryu doing it, it feels a bit cheap. And for Mihawk, as much buildup as he has gotten throughout the story, where he's been clean throughout the entire story, the Marines aren't going to beat Mihawk. That's Zoro. That's Zoro's goal and Zoro's dream. And while you could think the face may change, someone else could beat Mihawk and retain that title, it makes much more sense for it to be Mihawk. But guys, give me your thoughts. Do you think Mihawk can lose before Zoro beats him? Do you think he has to? And if you do, why? Guys, give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BroggoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BroggoD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys all so much. Guys, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
I start doubting me, I felt lost.